Right, well, I'm back in Melbourne and sitting in my house. Anyone that's followed the vlog for a long time will know that this setup, this room, is a little bit different from what you're used to. I will explain that in an upcoming life update video, which I plan on doing next week. It's Friday the 25th of June at the moment, so hopefully I can get that done next week sometime. But yeah, I just thought I'd keep this cycling specific, this video. Obviously I took the camera and my camera equipment over to Christchurch when we went and saw our family and did a fair bit of riding. Most of my riding was done just without the camera equipment, but there were a few days where I took it out and got some nice shots. So I just thought I'd share that with you. And I also thought I'd finish off this video just explaining my thoughts on Christchurch Cycling and whether it's a good idea for you to travel to Christchurch to go do some riding. Now, Christchurch reminds me of Adelaide in terms of its layout for cyclists. So Adelaide is a fantastic cycling city, and the reason for that is the hills are right next to the city. If you want to go for a ride on the flats, you can go for a ride along the beach. But if you want to go get some hills and get some hard efforts in, you have got the hills right next, within 10-15 minute ride from the city. So this is the reason why a lot of pro cyclists live in Adelaide, because you've got access to the hills, and Christchurch is very similar. If we zoom in here, you can see just to the north of the Port Hills, you've got these fantastic steep climbs, and they're probably 10 minutes from the city, a 15-minute ride from the city. And a lot of people obviously live south of the city through Summerfield, and obviously some people live out here in Sumner. And, the hills are right there, literally right on their doorstep. So that's one of the great features of cycling in Christchurch. And the other thing is they've got these fantastic, you've got the Christchurch Adventure Park. The whole side of the Port Hills is set up for mountain biking trails. So even if you don't go to the Christchurch Adventure Park for a proper setup with the the transport up and down the mountain and the proper mountain bike trails, you have got all of these mountain bike trails sort of laid out through the side of the Port Hills. So that's pretty cool. Now, we were staying in Aidenfield, which is down around here. So it's out to the southwest of the city in the suburbs. Now, I've just drawn this little diagram here to show that this is roughly where some of the group rides go from Christchurch. And I saw heaps of group rides out here on the Saturdays. We were there for 2 weeks. So I saw on the weekend there was heaps of groups out here. And people even go further out. So further out down through here, if you want to get more Ks in. But essentially what I'm saying to you is there's a lot of safe riding on pretty quiet roads out to the southwest. And the other option are the long bays and short bays. So this is the long bays and that's the short bays. And, these are just rough diagrams, but essentially you can ride along over through Sumner, over the top of the hills and out the other side. And you can do these beautiful loops, which are probably a little bit more hilly. I would say that the hills in Christchurch are quite steep. I mean, I found them anywhere from 10 to 15% in a lot of places, whereas in comparison here in Melbourne, out at the Dandenongs, they're probably not as steep. So I would take some good gearing if you're going to go cycling in the hills in Christchurch. So I did a little ride from Aidenfield out to the left here through Taitapu, I think it's called, and just short of Motukarara, and went out through Dyer's Pass, which I think is up through here, and this was a very, very steep climb. Yeah, so this is it here. I'll just swing this around. So you come up along the hill here. This section was very steep, and then you come up the Summit Road. Now, I didn't go all the way down and do what's called the Long Bays, which is down through here. Apparently this is some beautiful riding along here, mainly because of the traffic. For me, I was doing it in the middle of the day. But I went up Summit Road, which is, as you can see here, this road isn't well represented in this Google Earth image, but it's very steep. It's around 12 to 15% climb all the way up through here. And then I went across the top. So I wonder if I can get this right. So yeah, just across the top here. So that's the road. It goes all the way along the ridge there and right along down to Christchurch that way. And you can go across the top all the way back to Christchurch. I went back over here, so along the top, along Mount Pleasant, and there was some beautiful riding through here, and then I dropped down into Sumner. So Sumner's a beautiful little hipster surfy suburb of Christchurch, and it's a little bit further out, probably 10-15 minute drive out of Christchurch. But yeah, they have some fantastic surfing, and as you can see, the hills, they're surrounded by hills. This is a nice steep little climb up here over to Taylor's Mistake, which is over the other side. So yeah, look, a very broad range of cycling in Christchurch. They have fantastic cycleways all through the city. From what I understand, they've put a lot of money into it. The government's put a lot of money into cycling infrastructure in the last 5 years. They're separated cycleways all the way along out to the suburbs, and particularly out to the southeast. I think that's probably their biggest growth, the southwest, sorry. That's probably their biggest growth corridor at the moment. There's a rail trail that sort of goes down through here and then makes its way into the little river. And it's very similar to the rail trails we have here in Melbourne. And, they're sort of little gravel strips, very flat, very sort of thing you do with your wife and just go for a steady, nice, cruisy, scenic ride. And so that's it there roughly. And I didn't actually do a lot of it. I did a little bit of it, but I would say you need a gravel bike or a mountain bike to do it. I saw a lot of people on mountain bikes, and I had my road bike with, I think I had 25mm tyres on, so probably wasn't suitable for the trail. But I would say do it on a mountain bike or a gravel bike and you'll have a lot more fun. Now, I had my titanium bike on that trip, and it's a good bike. I mean, it's been a good frame, and it's been a good group set. I had some problems recently with some clicking. I took a little video, and you can see here there's some clicking through the bottom bracket. We really investigated it. I took it to Port Melbourne Cycles, and I took it to the guys at Factor to have a look at. And Andy Naylor had a look at it for me, and they came to the conclusion that it's just the frame. It's just they couldn't actually locate the problem. We then took the group set from that bike and put it on a new Factor VAM Ostro, which I've got now at my place. and the clicking's completely gone. So it definitely wasn't the group set. It was definitely the frame. So it was one of those mysterious things. Regardless, I've since sold the titanium frame. Hopefully the person who bought it doesn't have the same problem. And now I've got my Factor Ostro, my Factor VAM Ostro. I've still got the old Factor, which is sitting here behind me on my trainer. So I've got the old Factor VAM that I got in 2019, but now I've also got a Factor VAM Ostro, which is a beautiful bike. I've got the SRAM Force group set on it, which I find to be pretty good. I've got Durace on the other Factor VAM. And I've got the wheels that I got from China on the Ostro. Now, besides that clicking noise on the titanium bike, there was another major reason I sold it. If you look at this image, this is when we put some, I think they were 33 millimeter tires on it. And I wanted to sort of set this, it's a road bike through and through, but I wanted to set it up as a gravel bike. And if you look at the distance between the rear tyre and the seat tube, you can see it's really tight. And that's because as soon as you start to put bigger tyres on this bike, it really, because the chainstay length is only 405 or 410 millimetres, then that means that the tyres are going to touch on the seat tube. So really what I would have liked to have done in retrospect on this bike is set it up as a gravel geometry and extended the chainstay length to say 435 or even 430. If you look at any of the good manufacturers of gravel bikes, the chainstay length is about 430, 435. The angle between the chainstay and the seat tube around 73.5. Now, if you're going to set up a road bike, you obviously go shorter because you're only putting 25 to 30 millimeter tires on the bike. So 405, 410 is probably the standard. So obviously that's my two road bikes. I have a adventure bike, a Surly long haul trucker, which I've had for years actually, but I've never really had it set up for, proper adventures. So recently I put some Maxxis BMX tires on it, the 26. It's actually a 26-inch frame, so it obviously fits 26-inch wheels. But I've got some 2.3-inch tires on it now, so they're super wide, they're nice and flat, they don't have a lot of knobbly bits, so I'm going to be doing most of my riding on the road. And but it also allows me the option to go off-road, and so I've got a few trips planned coming up in the future. So on the Surly long haul trucker, I've got the side entry, the Salsa side entry water bottle cages. I still have Shimano bar end shifters on. Apparently bar end shifters have gone out of vogue, gone out of fashion over the last few years, but I have no problems with them, and I find them they do the job. So until I get a electronic group set on the bike, I'm pretty happy with how it's working at the moment. And I've really got to see whether I actually enjoy these long solo rides. The other thing I'll say is one of the dream things that I've got on this bike is a double kickstand. So it allows me to stand the bike up, lift the rear wheel off the ground. Most of the weight's going to be on the front of the bike anyway. And I'm going to have my tripod and my camera and stuff on the front of the bike. So it just allows me to stand the bike up, get the camera gear off the bike, take some brilliant cinematic shots, and then quickly put all the stuff back on without lying my bike down in the dirt. So that's the plan. I don't know how it works yet with the bike fully loaded. Might really put some pressure on the kickstand, and who knows, the kickstand may actually sink into the ground, but if I'm out riding gravel, but we'll wait and see. Now, the kickstand I've got is called a Plesha ESGE double kickstand, and it's got a Surly trucker kickstand plate. So I will put some links in the description down below for all of these things so you can check them out yourself. And then moving beyond that, I don't really like to talk about what I'm going to do because quite often I don't end up doing it. But I have got some rides planned where I'd like to do some nice cinematic videos. So especially on the Surly long haul trucker. So I've just got to look out for some good quality weather, and I want to bring you guys some new videos. So And before we finish off this video, I just want to give Filippo Loretti a shout out. They sent me this beautiful watch and I've had it for 2 months now. It hasn't missed a beat. I wear it more than my Apple Watch. So I have a discount code in the description below, Mark Ferguson 15. It'll get you 15% off. And thanks again, Filippo Loretti.
Here comes him. Look, look at this. Oh, look. Look. Ooh.
Who's that, Jack? Shut up. Hi.
Hey, Jack.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm riding the police car.
Yeah, have a seat.
Look what Uncle Hamish has got.
Hey, you.
You're
You've been
under
naughty boy.
arrest. Oh yeah, forgets the key. You're under arrest, Jack.
You want to take a seat there? I'll help you.
Jack, this is a lesson. Don't ever let this happen in real life.
So we're sirens on.
The policeman's saying goodbye, Jack.
Do the sirens on.
No sirens, but he can have the lights.
What light?
There's the lights, Jack. Woo!
Bye.
Bye, police officer.
Uncle Hamish.
Are you having fun too?
The beach, Poppy, the beach. Go away. No, don't take
No,
your
don't
shoes
take
off.
your shoes off.
Go away. We can't go in. It's
We
too
can't, it's too cold.
Icy cold. Icy cold.
It's too cold to go in the water. If there was an earthquake, I'd run. Would you run?
Yeah, but I don't know which way it is.
Let's go, you lead the way. Look at him getting right down. No, stand up. You can stand up.
That was a fail. Let's go.
Okay, you ready?
Oh my god. Jack, look at Daddy. Oh my god, oh my god.